You guys know what a clown show is? Yeah, there was a clown show here last night. So be thankful you weren't here. I learned a lesson, valuable lesson. Did some more reading today, and I'll explain more of that once we get into the wheel bearing, I guess I should say, wheel bearing on this Toyota 4Runner axle. So anyway, I'll put a link to the tool down in the description. I'm going to flip this around. We'll get started on doing the wheel bearing. I'm going to do the wheel bearing from start to finish. If you've been afraid of this job, don't be. It's really not bad. You do have to have a press, and you do have to have the tool or something similar. Make your own or a similar tool. So the tool that I bought, I believe, was the second cheapest. I don't think it was the cheapest, but it was the second cheapest that I found on Amazon. 87 bucks. Worth every penny. Believe me, every penny. I don't see how you could do this without it. So I'm going to flip this around and cover a couple of things, and then we'll get started. So one way you could do this is to take a cutoff wheel, and you cut this retainer, and then you cut the tone ring, and then you cut the other retainer. Then you have all of that stuff out of the way, but you're going to end up nicking, or at least I would, nicking the shaft, the axle shaft. And the seal, if you can see this ring, see that ring? That's where the axle seal rides. So when you put this in the axle tube, this is a model with ABS. If yours does not have ABS, then you will only have the bearing and the inner, or outer I should say, retainer. You would not have the tone ring and the inner retainer. So even if you wanted to get rid of the tone ring and said, hey man, I don't care if I have ABS or not, I'm going to get rid of that. Well, you can't. You still have to have this outer retainer, inner retainer. I'll get this right in a minute. Because as you can see, the seal rides on that retainer. You have to have this inner retainer at least. So I bought this tool. I'll get everything set up. And then if you cut this off with a cutoff wheel, again, if I was doing it, I would end up getting into the axle shaft. And what would happen is oil would travel through that cut and perhaps leak. Maybe it would, maybe it wouldn't, I don't know. Now what you could do, if you did cut it off with a cutoff wheel, you could put some RTV or something in the nick or the groove and seal that up perhaps, but for 87 bucks, I'd rather just do it the right way. So anyway, let me get everything set up and we'll get started. An important note, so this, as you saw in the earlier, you can see where this seal rides. This retainer needs to be in the same position that it is right now. If you push this too far, this isn't going to catch the seal and it's going to leak. If you push this too far in, it's going to catch this lip that's just past the axle seal itself. So if you buy this particular tool, there's a notch cut in here. And what I've discovered on this one, I did not do this last night. I did it the hard way. I had this on and off 3 times. I ended up using an old bearing race and knocking each side down until I measured from here up to here and had the same distance that I measured originally. This would be an easier way. So if you take this is a 4mm Allen wrench, and if I put it in here, the distance from the top of this inner retainer to the shiny machined part of the axle shaft is about 4mm. So when I press this on, I've got to go slow and then measure this until I achieve 4mm, and that way I'll ensure that this is in the exact same place. So you have to make sure and measure to make sure this is in the same place. Either you will not seal, or you'll have this part here running into the flange, I guess just past the seal. There's a flange that has 4 notches in it so you can pull the seal out. Also an important note, where are you? Oh, sorry, I lost you. I'm zoomed in too close. See how that has a taper? That taper goes towards the seal, so that means this goes down over the axle shaft. All right, so let's get started. So this particular tool, again, I found it on Amazon. I don't know if I've got all my tools. I may have to, I just dropped a nut. Hang on, I dropped a nut. You've heard that before, right? Where'd it go? Ah, there it is. All right. So I may have to run back and forth a couple of times till I get everything I need. This is supposed to be more educational than professional. I'm not a professional. Let me make sure I'm recording everything. Sorry. So one of the first things you're going to notice when you buy this tool, it doesn't fit, right? Can't get it under there. What am I going to do? So basically what you have to do is take a nut, or well, this is what I did. Thread a nut on, grab a punch and a hammer. And you're going to knock one of these studs out. So knocking this stud out is going to allow you to get to, or get this tool underneath the tone ring. Turn this so I can get it out easier. Where is it? Let's try that. That's not going to be it. All right, sorry guys. I told you it was a clown show. Oh, I should have knocked the other one out. So check to see how much clearance you have before you knock one out. This one's not the best one to use. But we're going to go with it anyway because it's already out. So sure, right? Dang it, I should have looked at this. All right, studs out. We'll worry about that in a bit. So basically what that does, now you can work this tool up under here, right? I'm going to bring this down. So you kind of can guess where we're going here. So basically what this is going to do is allow you to pull the tone ring and this inner retainer. You want to make sure that's flush underneath the tone ring. Now this does not pull it. You've got to put this in a press, which I'm going to set up. I'm going to reset the camera. I'll get this set up in the press. And then we'll start pulling this off. And then we'll come back. All right, so once you have everything put together, this is how it's going to look in the press. Again, this is a 20-ton press. And once you start pushing, this is, if you want to, item number, this is a Harbor Freight 20-ton press. I've used it quite a bit, works very well. Let me put this on the tripod and we'll start pressing. All right, so I do have this little brass spacer in here. Keep in mind, when you press this out, this is going to fall. So you're going to have one hand here to catch when it goes. That pop you heard is the retainer starting to move. I'm not putting a lot of pressure on it. The jack pressure is very light, which means it's moving very easily. All right, so there we go. Let me pull this out of here and we'll go back to the work table. All right, here we are. If I sound like I'm out of breath, I am. After doing this last night and again tonight, stuff gets heavy. Yeah, I hear you. Don't be a wimp, right? So this may seem like a lot of work, but if you're paying somebody to do this, it's going to be a lot of money. So you either do a lot of work or you do a lot of money. What's your choice? So once you pull that off, once you have the tone ring out of the way, you're finished with this part. Well, I'm sorry. No, we'll use this one more time. Spoke too soon. So we're done with this part. Except not last night. I had to use it 3 more times. So as you can see, outer retainer is loose. Uh-oh. Tone ring is loose. The hollow side goes down. So what's next? So I told you to leave this stud out, but I lied. I do have to put it back in. Because now we have to pull the bearing out of the hub. I'm sorry, the retainer. Got to pull the retainer out of the hub. Now I got to figure out how to get this back in there because I don't have a lot of room. Make sure you pull one of the studs that has more room. The flicker you're seeing is these little LED lights, LED flashlights. Let's see if I can fish this stud back in here. I'll probably have to edit some of this out because it looks like it's going to take a minute. All right, that wasn't so bad. Okay, 3 washers. Let's do 3 washers. We'll do a nut. So the first thing you have to do is pull this stud back through the backing plate. Okay. Not too bad, right? Now, the piece that I said you won't need again, you do need. That comes back down. It's going to come on here like this. 4 washers. Studs don't look very long. What's going on here? We're not seated, I don't think. I don't know if we're going to have enough threads to use that washer. Maybe. We'll have a lot of threads to work with here. It seems like the other one was longer. I don't like that. Let me see if I can find some thinner washers. You don't want to just put this on here with only grabbing a couple of threads. That one seems okay. This one might be okay. fine. All right, let's go for it. All right, so you can imagine what's next. Back to the press. All right, guys, I ain't gonna lie, I just screwed up. Some of you may have caught it. Some of you may have caught it. What did I do wrong? Can you tell me? That's what happens when you get in a hurry. You screw up. The snap ring did its job. It kept everything from moving. We have to get the snap ring off or nothing comes apart. Snap ring pliers, these were my dad's. KK, Ken Kaufman. So let's get this snap ring off of here. I may have just screwed myself up. Probably did. So I think what happened is the retainer did move some. And now it's holding the snap ring in place. Let's try now. All right, now we're moving. Lesson learned, guys, don't be in a hurry. I will not be reusing these. I do have new snap rings. It wasn't super easy to get off last night. So trust me when I tell you, it's harder to do things wrong than it is to do things right. All right, back to where we were. And that's probably why I couldn't use the thicker washers earlier. Duh. Usually, if something doesn't make sense, something's wrong. All right, so let's tighten this up. Okay, let me carry this back over to the press and we'll get started again. Okay, so now when this breaks free, the axle is going to fall out of the hub. So you do have to catch the axle, but this is going to stay obviously here. It can't go any lower anyway, but just know that your axle is going to be loose in the hub. All right, we're moving. Okay, so it's a much longer push this time because you have to push past that whole area where the inner retaining ring was. So it is a much longer push, and the axle is all the way down there. So let's see, I think what I'll do is raise this up. Raise this up a notch. Make it easier to get this out. One of these days I'll get a nice press where you crank this up and down. All right, so let's get this in here and grab the whole deal. Out we go. Okay, we're back. Let's take this back off. Now, this is the last time you need this. And that suits me just fine. Again, you either put in the work or put in the money. And when you buy something for $2,500, it doesn't make sense to pay somebody $1,600 to rebuild your axle. So here's our retainer. And now the hub is going to lift off. Now the hub is free. There's your entire hub. Brakes are still in place. Pretty cool. Pretty cool design. This bearing is really big. Big compared to what I'm used to. So. Let's just wipe this off. Make sure this is clean. So the snap ring did its job because that was not coming off. This is your outer dust boot. Just pulls out of there. Not exactly sure what that seals, unless it is just what I called it, a dust boot. Now the bearing, probably use this. The bearing will tap out. Very, very light press fit. I don't even know that I would call it a press fit, but I don't think I would have bent that when I was pushing on that snap ring. It looks pretty sturdy, so let's just go ahead and go with everything's okay. I don't see any deformation, so I think we're probably all right. So here's the bearing. This is a Koyo bearing, 6308T. Don't know if that's the part number or not. I don't think these were bad, but since I'm doing everything else anyway, might as well do these. So let me go grab some parts. I'll be back. So where the bearing rides or sits is right down in there. You want to wipe that out, make sure it's nice and clean. No debris that would keep it from seating all the way. So Koyo bearings came out. Koyo bearings going in. This is, let's see. See the part numbers there. I bought this as a whole kit on eBay. I don't remember what I paid for it. I'll try to find a link and put that up. And let's get some oil off of this one. You don't want to start this crooked or it won't go. Let me get a different hammer. To get this the rest of the way down, you don't want to hit the middle and you don't want to hit the seal, so I just go to the outer edge. One tap on each side. I don't know if you could hear that. Once it was seated all the way, you could tell a difference in the sound. And that's how you know it's in all the way. Now this seal, where's my seal? Here's my new seal. So to put this in, I've got a 1 13/16 socket. Who has a 1 13/16 socket? I have a lot of my dad's old tools, and there's a lot of stuff that I would never use or very rarely use, or some stuff I don't even know what it was for. But I'm glad to have it. This doesn't fit totally around the inside diameter. So same deal. I'm not just wailing away at this, I'm just tapping it in. All right, so there's our inner seal. And just like the bearing, you'll know when it's seated because the tone will change, the sound. So, all right, so our bearing is in. Dust boot is in, whatever this is called, I don't know. Some of you will. So guess what's next? Here comes Johnny. All right, so that's as far as we go with that. Next is a new retainer. This came in the kit. Again, if you have ABS, the kit will come with 4 retainers. Non-ABS will have 2 retainers. And we will do this way. So, you know what's next. Let's head back to the press. So this is how we have it set up. Basically, under here, these 2 plates. I've got this little presser, this pusher thing kind of over the axle, over the smallest hole in those plates. And we're just going to push that through. Sorry about the camera work. But you get the idea. So here we go. All we're doing is pushing the retainer on. Just like before, or the last push, it's going to be a long one. And basically, you're going to keep going until it bottoms out. And I believe we're there. All right, you will be lowering and raising this several times throughout the process. Just haven't been showing you that part, so let me get the camera set back up and we'll be ready to put the tone ring and the inner retainer on. Okay, so just like before, this is a good time to not forget the snap ring. This turns nice and smooth. No scrapes, no noises. Snap ring, where's my snap ring? If this video is helpful, I would appreciate a thumbs up and maybe a comment, or hey, maybe even a subscribe. All right, so let's get our snap ring started. This is going to come down to right there. Am I recording? Yep. So you're going to notice that stops right there. You have to work that down from here. So we're going to spread this open. You don't want to spread it too far, just enough to get it started over this little ridge here. Okay, we're pretty close right there. So what I'll do is just bring this piece back down. Bug. All right, there we go. Want to make sure that turns, and it does. All right, so snap ring is in place. What's next? Tone ring and new retainer. I do think you can reuse the retainers. This kit came with them, so I'm going to use them. Remember, when you put the new retainer on, the tapered side, it goes towards the seal. Where's the seal? The seal's in the axle tube. So you want to put this in this orientation. The tapered end will go up. Remember our notch we have to measure. That goes next. So when we get down close, we've got to remember to measure 4 millimeters of this machined shiny area. This is where the outer diameter gets largest, right here. That's what you're pushing over. So once we get close, we got to remember to take our 4 millimeter Allen wrench. That's the best thing I could find to measure, closest. And we'll measure 4 millimeters. So let me do a quick cleanup. We'll put this back in the press and we'll get back at it. All right, so let me show you what we have. Basically, this is the same orientation that I did on the last push. except now I've got this notch. I've got to watch this notch. So when I can measure 4 millimeters underneath the black of that, or the bottom of that black ring, I got to stop. So you can see how far we have to go. There's the snap ring, the outer retainer. All right, so let me get this set up and off we go. Okay, let's see. If I went through this too quickly, I apologize. That's why you can hit the rewind button, right? Again, we're looking for that shiny surface to start poking through. And I believe I am starting to see it. So you don't want to go too far, because if you go too far, you have to set that tool back up and remove the tone ring again and start this process all over again. Believe me, I did that 3 times last night. Okay, we're done. So make sure you don't bump this. Push it any more. Pressure off. I'll get this set up on the bench and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So there you have it. New wheel bearing. Done and ready to install. So remember, this inner retainer also rides against your seal. You have to have this on here if you have ABS. If you have ABS, you'll have this tone ring. If you don't have this inner retainer, you can't just leave it off. That's what's going to seal your axle. So that's it for tonight. I'll finish up here. And one more message and we'll be out of here. So that's it for tonight. I appreciate you watching. Leave me a thumbs up if I helped you. You can rewind it and go through every step. I did screw up and forget the retainer, or the snap ring. I forgot the snap ring. I started to press it. It wouldn't move. And then I remembered, snap ring. So anyway, if I can do this, you can do this. When I started reading about this, I doubted myself and I didn't think I could do it. But I kept reading, and it's human nature to be afraid of something that you don't know anything about. So if you don't know anything about something, you're going to be scared of it. So if you're scared of something, read, educate yourself, and education overcomes fear. So I read a lot, I watched videos, and it wasn't bad at all. It really wasn't. It's a lot of work. And I had to run back and forth between the workbench and the press and all that stuff. I think I pressed, 4 times? So you're going to have several presses, 4 presses per axle. But once you do the first one, like last night, I didn't measure that tone ring properly. And I had that tone ring on and off 3 times before I finally clicked what I had to do. So anyway, I appreciate you watching. Leave a thumbs up, please subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.